Good morning, seventh graders. It's your last Tuesday of the entire school year. So give yourself a pat on the back, maybe do a flip or something to celebrate that. We're going to have a fun time reading some poetry today. It should not take long at all. Sorry that my hair looks like it was electrocuted today. It's just getting quite long, so you're going to have to deal with that because I can't really go get a haircut yet. Maybe that's going to be a new freedom that we get this week, though. Who knows? I'm going to read you a poem that's near and dear to my heart. It's in the wonderful Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, a British author from the 1900s. He passed away in 1973, but he lived most of that century. Um, he Yeah, Lord of the Rings. I offer a class on it because I love it so much. There are three books in Lord of the Rings. There's a prequel, which is The Hobbit. Um, we only got through the Fellowship of the Ring this time. But hey, that's 400 pages in itself, so that's something to be said about that. Um, I believe that we're offering that class next year. So if you are an eighth grader next year, which all of you will be, you can look out for that option and maybe even ask some of the graduating eighth graders what they thought of it. See if it would be a good fit for you. So let's read about that. This is a poem that's in the novel itself. So Lord of the Rings is a novel. However, it's got poems all over it, which is one of the best parts. And the characters, it's like a musical almost. They just burst into song sometimes whenever they're walking around. um, so here is one called The Road Goes Ever On and On. It actually first appears in The Hobbit, and the Hobbit Bilbo Baggins sings this song back then. Then, when we get to the Fellowship of the Ring, which is the one we read in my class, we hear him sing it again, but he tweaks the lyrics enough so that it's different. He's about to set off on a journey, and he says he doesn't plan on coming back. So he just wants to go and travel the rest of his life. And he says this one thing to his distant cousin Frodo, who becomes the central character of Lord of the Rings. And he says, sorry, let me get this screen out of the way. It's dangerous business, Frodo, going out your front door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. When he uses that phrase, keep your feet, he's not saying hold on to your feet. He's saying keep your balance. Um, so there's there's dangerous business, he says, in going outside. Does he just mean that the sun is going to scorch you or you might trip on the concrete? No. He's saying that you might get swept away. Um, And this has to do with what the poem is going to be about, which is that all of these roads are all tied together. Even though you just step out onto your sidewalk, that sidewalk leads to a bigger road, which leads to a bigger road, which leads to the heart of the city. Um, and it's all connected. And it doesn't immediately change, right? There's all these incremental changes. At first, you're still in your friendly little neighborhood, and then after you've walked for a while, it doesn't feel so cozy anymore, and you're kind of on a big interstate street, highway, and then you're surrounded by big buildings you haven't seen before, um, and that'll just keep gradually changing. Let's read the poem now. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow, if I can, pursuing it with eager feet, until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet, and whither then I cannot say. The road goes ever on and on, out from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone. Let others follow it who can. Let them a journey new begin, but I at last with weary feet will turn toward the lighted inn, my evening rest and sleep to meet. So you can pull that up on your own page if you're looking for it. Um, it's called The Road Goes Ever On, and it's in Lord of the Rings, and it's easy to find. Um, what is this poem about? Well, it's about leaving home. It's about growing up, like you guys are. Of course, you guys aren't graduating high school, which is good, but you're leaving this stage of seventh grade. You're going home. I mean, you are home, but you're going on vacation, and you may be going on some adventures, um, and you won't be a seventh grader again. So there's a chance of change, right? There's this chance of being swept away with the new currents. Um, and Bilbo is just realizing that it's okay to be swept away by the changes of your life and how you are growing up. However, don't forget who you are. Don't forget where home is, where you've come from. The second stanza there is a return to home, where he says, I hope some other people pursue this journey after I'm done. But for now, I'm going to the inn, meaning to safety. so, so there's one point where he's being called to adventure, right? And he's leaving his home. He's going on a journey. You can follow this in the movies, even if you haven't read the books. The Hobbits are big hits these days. Um, but he's eventually at the end of this stanza, he says, I at last with weary feet will turn toward the lighted inn, my evening rest and sleep to meet. He's going to go to bed. He's had enough. Um, there's seasons for each of these things. You've had a lot of work in the last few months, the last school year. You've had a lot to do, a lot to keep up with, a lot to keep on track of. And now it's time for a little break from that. Now you're going to go have fun, and it's going to be summer. It's going to be a new season. You're going to go on journeys. You're going to make new friends. You're going to try new things. You're going to eat new food, sing new songs, learn new skills. And that's good. It's good to have a change of pace like that. Hopefully you rest more hours at the night too. But then it's good to come back as well. Don't leave Mr. Anderson all alone, 8th grade. Make sure you come back so we can study the Fellowship of the Ring, the Lord of the Rings next year. Um, that's another season to look forward to. And perhaps you're thinking, I don't want to think about 8th grade right now. I just finished 7th grade, of course. But maybe in 3 months, your mind will have changed. I hear the protests already. No, it won't. No, it won't. But just believe me, after 3 months of vacation, you might think school isn't so bad. Okay, that's all I'm going to give you for The Lord of the Rings. Come back next year, read the whole thing with me, read all of the books after my class. It's really a treasure and worth the time. Peace to you all. Have a great Tuesday.